Welcome back to Rich Words Music, where today we're looking at this. It's the Joyo King of Kings dual overdrive pedal. Now this is a two-sided overdrive pedal. You've got two independent sides that you can use on their own or together stacked, and it's a Bluesbreaker type of transparent drive pedal. And for those of you in the know, the King of Kings is indeed Joyo's take on the legendary, iconic and almost unobtainable Analogman King of Tone overdrive pedal, the boutique overdrive pedal that sort of started the whole boutique transparent drive craze. Now this being a Joyo pedal, it's obviously much more affordable than its American built forefather. This will set you back about 60 to 70 euros, dollars or pounds, so very much an affordable pedal indeed. And what we're going to do today is see whether it's a bit like a King of Tone at a fraction of the price. Now just a little bit of a story from my side. It's early May 2023 as I'm filming this, and I've been on the King of Tone pedal waiting list for over 5 years. That's right, in April 2018 I put my name on that list, and I'm still waiting to get hold of that pedal. And I finally decided to get in the King of Kings to see what all the fuss is about. So the fine people at Joyo sent this pedal to me to make this video, just to disclose that to you guys before we start the playing part. But let me first tell you about the features and the specifications of the King of Kings then. So it's a dual-sided overdrive pedal. You've got two sides here. Like I said, you can use them independently or stack them. Each of the two sides has its own volume, gain and tone control, volume, gain and tone. And there are also two mini switches on both sides of the pedal, and Joyo tell us that these give you different clipping diode and different feedback options, and they'll give you subtle tonal nuances and changes as you flick them up and down, and we'll hear those in the playing parts of the video. Now those of course are switches that you'll find on the Analogman King of Tone 2, but those tend to be inside the King of Tone. Now apart from that, we have the switches to switch them on. If I flick it over to the back here, we've got the input and the output. DC 9-volt in, there's no battery access to this one, and there is a little switch on the back here, and that controls the lighting bar on the side and back of the pedal. The light can come on when you switch on the pedal, it can be on at all times, or you can have that light off at all times, whatever floats your boat. I've got it on when I switch on the pedal, and I think it's a pretty cool but wholly unnecessary thing to have. So that's the King of Kings then. It does what it does, and what we're going to do now is hear it in action. So we'll be using two guitars today. I'll be using my Fender Telecaster for single coil tones. Be aware I do have a neck humbucker on that guitar, but it has a split in operation, so it will be single coil tones all the way. And for humbucking tones, I shall be using my Epiphone Les Paul Traditional Pro. Now I'm going to play a bunch of riffs on both guitars separately, so we'll hear the Tele first and then the Les Paul. We'll do that in as many different genres as we possibly can, so we'll do clean boosts, we'll do light, edge of breakup drive tones, we'll do classic rock and indie drive sounds, then we'll do some heavier stuff, some punk rock, some hard rock, and we'll even try a bit of metal in drop D and see if the King of Kings can chug. Now my amp for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200. That'll be on the clean channel for the vast majority of the time, but we'll switch it up to the crunch channel just to hear how the King of Kings manages into an already overdriven amp as a boost. Now as I said, we'll have a bunch of Telecaster riffs, then a bunch of Les Paul riffs. We'll have the riffs on the dirty channel of the Black Spirit 200 amplifier. Then we'll also have a few different riffs where I quickly A-B between the two different guitars so you can hear those differences directly. And at the very end, I shall do a loop on each of the two guitars where I really get to twist the knobs and flick the switches on the pedal, and you can really hear the differences, the different tones that are available, and the extremes to which you can get the King of Kings. That's enough talk then. Let's play the Joyo King of Kings now, and we'll speak in more detail about it afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Joyo King of Kings dual-sided transparent overdrive pedal, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. Now if you're someone who wants a King of Tone pedal or has a King of Tone pedal, you'll have probably heard some significant similarities between this and the Analogman. Of course, the King of Kings is Joyo's take, possibly even a clone of the King of Tone, so it should sound a bit like that, but how close does it get? Well, for me personally, I don't yet own my King of Tone. As I said in the intro, I've been on the waiting list for over 5 years now, possibly a very silly thing to do, but there you go. I'm going to wait and I shall test the two pedals together when I get the King of Tone. But for now, my thoughts of the King of Kings independently, and I think it's a really, really decent pedal. First, the price, for 65 euros. This is really a very affordable box indeed, and it gives you effectively 3 additional sounds to your existing setup. So if you've got an amp that just does clean sounds, you've got a boost, a drive, and then both together stacked for really, really varied sounds. Now I would say generally that channel B here seems to be more of a boost sound, and channel A here seems to give you more drive on tap. So you've got a wide variety of different tones you can get out of this pedal, and of course stacking them together gives you even more oomph. But that said, the two sides can be made to sound very, very similar if you tweak the knobs, and you'll have heard that in the loop part of the video as well. And overall, I really do think you can do pretty much everything with this. Now for me personally, I play a lot of indie rock and I play a lot of classic rock as well, and no problems at all dialing in those sounds with this pedal with both of the guitars. Now with the Telecaster, you could really hear that I needed to wind up the gain a lot more on the pedal to get the sounds that I personally like, but on the humbuckers of the Epiphone Les Paul, which are pretty darn hot, straight away we were getting into nice breakup tones with that. So that was very cool to have, and I've tried this pedal with other pickups that I have here at home, and it is very decent with all of them. It is a transparent drive pedal, so it gives you more goodness on top of what you've already got. But as you start to wind the gain up, you do get into more raspy, throaty, hard rock sort of territory. Now if you're someone who wants to play metal into a clean amp using this pedal as your drive thing, I wouldn't recommend it. Probably it's really not built for that kind of sound, and there are specific metal pedals that will get you there. However, with humbuckers and with both sides on, I thought I got a pretty decent impression of metal. And what you could also do is use this as a boost into an already overdriven amp to get some really chuggy tones. So full marks for the sounds. It's a really versatile pedal, and it'll do pretty much any style of music, no problem at all. So apart from the tones, what else do I like about the King of Kings? Well, I think the build quality is actually pretty decent for the price. For 65 euros or $70 or whatever, this is a solid little metal box, and I don't think it's going to break anytime soon. Now the knobs don't feel like the most durable or hard wearing that I've ever felt, but I think if you treat it nicely, this is a pedal that is going to give you years of enjoyment without breaking. The other thing that I like about the pedal is those lights on the back and side there. I think they're pretty cool, but they're totally unnecessary. You might like them, you might not, but if you don't like them, you can switch them off, no problem at all. So there's a bunch of things that I really like about the King of Kings pedal, but what about the things that I don't personally like so much? Well, the one thing that I did notice straight away was the fact that this side here seems to be more of a boost, and this side here seems to be more of a drive. Now, my personal taste would be to have the boost side running into the drive side. That's just a personal thing that I like. I like to have cleaner boosts running into gainier drive sides because that works for the way that I play. You don't have that on this pedal, and you don't have the option to flip the two sides either. So it would be cool maybe to have an order switch, so you could change that. And I just think it would be nice in future to have the boost before the drive. But that's definitely a taste thing. And another taste thing would be these 4 clipping switches here. I always found, 99% of the time at least, that it sounded best to me when these were all just set to off. I found that when I flipped them up, I was getting a lot more compression. I found that they often tended to really decrease the volume of the pedal and my signal as well, and that's not something I like so much, and it just worked better for me to leave them off and forget them. And again, the volume discrepancies thing can be something that can be annoying. It sometimes took me a while to balance up the two sides in terms of volume, especially when I was flicking the switches. Now, of course, if you're buying this pedal to gig, to use at concerts and stuff like that, you're going to be finding two sounds that work for you and leaving, setting and forgetting the controls, and then it's not going to be a problem. But if you're tweaking quite a lot, like I was for this video, then you'll notice that the volume discrepancies thing is a bit of an issue. But those are really taste things, and there's really nothing wrong with this pedal whatsoever apart from that. Some of you might say you'd prefer to power it with a 9-volt battery, but again, that's a taste thing. The one other overriding issue that I can kind of think of is the fact that some of you may regard this as being a clone of the Analogman King of Tone. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't want to discuss that in detail in this video, but feel free to leave comments down there if you'd like to, and I will engage with those and we'll get a discussion going in the comments. And maybe in future I can do some videos where I talk to builders and we actually do some more detailed discussions about the idea of clones and homages and what is an original overdrive pedal anyway, but that's for another day. So if you've been watching this video and you really want to get a dual, transparent Bluesbreaker type sound on a budget, what else is out there? Well, in terms of the King of Kings, at about 70 or 80 or maybe even 60 pounds, dollars or euros, you've got a couple of different competitors that you can look for. Firstly, you've got the Kaleen High Chief, which I believe is even cheaper than the King of Kings, and then you've got the Tone City King of Blues pedal. Just look out for a word like king or chief or boss or emperor or something like that, and you're probably going to be getting something in the vein of the King of Tone. Now, of course, you could pay a bit more money for something else. You could join the 5-year waiting list for an Analogman King of Tone, or pay ridiculously overinflated prices for a used version of that pedal. Or what you could do is try the MXR Duke of Tone. Now, that's an official collaboration with Analogman, and the Duke of Tone is a take on Analogman's Prince of Tone, which is one side of the King of Tone pedal, so that's always going to be worth looking for. And there are many other companies that make King of Tone type pedals as well. One which I hear a lot of chat about is made by 68 Pedals. That's one that I need to check out at some point. And if you want to get that Bluesbreaker sound, you don't need to get a two-sided pedal. There are so many different Bluesbreaker pedals out there. The most famous among them that I can think of off the top of my head would be the JHS Morning Glory or the Wampler Pantheon. But there are so many at so many different budgets and price points, with different tonal options, with different amounts of switches and knobs. So just head down to your local music store and find the one which is going to work for you and your setup. In conclusion then, I have to say that I've really been enjoying the Joyo King of Kings. It's a really, really decent pedal, and it's given me some interesting thoughts about my position on the 5-year waiting list for the King of Tone. Now, I'm definitely going to get a King of Tone when my name comes up at the top of the list, which should be fairly soon actually, looking at the list delay times on the Analogman website. But let's see, I'll get that one in, I'll compare it against the King of Kings and see how good this one is compared to the real thing. But on its own, isolated, the King of Kings is a really decent value for money pedal. It's made really well, it's decent build quality, and it gives you a massive variety of tonal options as well. So if you're looking for a transparent type drive, if you're looking for a Bluesbreaker type drive, or if you want that King of Tone type thing but just don't have the money or the desire to wait almost half a decade to get one for yourself, then I would heartily recommend you give the King of Kings a try, because it's a really, really decent pedal, and I can imagine it's going to be on my board for the considerable future. I hope that this video has answered all of the questions that you might have had about the King of Kings, but let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to know, and I shall answer your comments to the best of my ability down there. And if you're still around, it would make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or even sub to the Rich Words Music channel, because that really does help the little community that we're building here. But that's been it for today's video. I've been Rich for Rich Words Music, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.